to South Sydney. Glory, glory to South Sydney. Glory, glory to South Sydney. South Sydney marches on. When speaking of the champions, one stands.
Alright, so today we'll be ranking what I think at this point the end of the season ladder will look like using this tier list here. The highest, of course, being minor premiers. Then you got your top 4, top 8, who will finish 9 to 13th, 14th to 16th, and who will get the wooden spoon this season. Now, of course, just off of, we'll go from bottom to the top. To be honest, I think it'll either be Parramatta or West who will get the wooden spoon at this point, mainly because they haven't currently won any games so far, but I'll put Tigers out at spoon. They don't really have enough talent, even though they've got players like Happy Coruscant, they don't have enough talent to get out of that wooden spoon spot. But yeah, I think above the wooden spoon in, I would say 16th, definitely Parramatta. With their current form, it ain't looking good for them. That's realistically their main challenge there, to play against teams that aren't in the best form. Next, I'll go a bit. All these teams have done alright so far, but I'm gonna put I'm gonna put St George in 15th. I think St George might make it to 15th. They've like stuck to the same team as they had last year, but even then, their team needs to adapt a bit better to the game. Knights, I'm gonna put at 14th. Moving players like Kalen Ponga and stuff like that around, it might work out in the end, it might not. Now into the top of the bottom 9. I know that definitely Canberra's going to be in there. I think they would be 13th. They ain't the best current team, and now it gets difficult because after we got a few good contenders now for the top 8. But I'll put in Warriors at 12. I think like playing at home again will be a bit of a struggle for them now. Even though it is their home ground, it will be a bit difficult with the amount of travelling they'll need to do now. In 11th, I'll go a bit controversial, and I'm going to put the Melbourne Storm at 11. They might make top 8, but in my opinion, with them losing all these players over the past season, I don't see them making it there. In 9th, I'm gonna have to go Gold Coast. Now they've put in a very recent upset above the Melbourne Storm, but again, they aren't the best team. They'll never be good enough to fight against some of the bigger players of the game. In the top 8, it's going to be a bit weird. I'm going to put Cowboys at 8th. I think they will drop off this season. Even though they do have some really good players, there are just teams that are able to get above them. Another team like that is Brisbane. Queensland this season won't be the main focus point, because Brisbane, they could do a bit better if Dolphins haven't come into the comp, which they have, because a few of their players have gone to Dolphins, which is gonna not really help their chances. In 6th, I'm gonna have to put the Doggies. The Dogs last season didn't do very well, but with their recent signings over the past few years, and including players like Stephen Crichton next year, it's looking pretty well that they're going to be in the top 8 picture for a while. To round out the top 8, to round out the bottom 4 of the top 8, I'm putting in Dolphins. They have been able to put some wins in, but I think when they're versing teams like Penrith and stuff like that, they won't be able to perform as well because they're playing against top tier sides. Now we'll go on to the top. Oh, hold on. 13, 12, 11. Oh, I didn't put in 9. It was just that's a bit embarrassing. Well, I'm guessing I would have to put Souths between Dogs and Dolphins. That's really roughly where they belong. About 6th place. They might do a bit better, they might do a bit worse, who knows. For the top 4, I know that there are definite contenders. Manly is a big one. I say they might be able to make 2nd or 3rd. I might move Sydney to 3rd. They might be able to make it. And then of course Cronulla rounding out top 4. They haven't made many new signings, but having the reigning Dally M winner, it's really going to help them. Now, unpopular opinion being Penrith being minor premiers this year, there's a chance that one of the top 4 teams might take the minor premiership spot, but with the current job, it's not looking the best. I will do another tier list as well, being the all-time NRL tier list, which will be in this video. It'll be just now. Okay, in this tier list there is over 30 teams from across the over 100-year history of the NRL. And, yeah, we're going to be ranking them from S to F. F being teams that haven't achieved anything in their entire existence in either the New South Wales Rugby League, the Australian Rugby League, the Super League, or the National Rugby League competitions. Let's get straight into it with the Annandale Dales. I'm going to rank them at D, mainly because Annandale has existed for about 20 years in the early stages, didn't achieve much, but still fought against many of the bigger clubs, and winning a few of them. Next, Balmain. I'm gonna put him in B tier. They were a very successful club in their over 100 years in the NRL. No, not 100. Over 90 years in the NRL. Or mostly in the New South Wales ARL competitions before joining with Western Suburbs. But I think Balmain deserve that B spot. There are many greater teams above them, like this next one being Norths. Norths. Long history like Balmain, and that merger with Manly as well, but at this point Norths have a very strong chance to rejoin the NRL. There's a big push for it currently, and I'm going to hope that they're able to get there and regain some of the success that they've had in the 90s, 80s and 70s. Next we have our first current team, Brisbane. I'm going to put them in A tier. They've had some great premiership wins, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, underneath Supercoach Wayne Bennett, including the one and only season of Super League, winning that as well. Very good club. Recently they have dropped off, but they are trying to sign some good key players. Next up, we have another newer club. People might say it's an up-and-coming club now, to be inside the top 8, which is what I've done as well, being the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. I'm going to say that they're below Brisbane, but they are still in A tier. They, throughout their entire career in the NRL, they have been able to achieve many records, good and bad, but Canterbury, quality side. Now let's get on to the next one. And the next one being North Queensland. Now I think they are going to be top of B tier at this point. They're not A tier material, as they've only been in the comp for not even 40 years. But with the time that they have been in the comp, they've been able to put up some good fights and only been able to win one premiership, being that absolute beautiful one, beating their Queensland rivals Brisbane. Now, and onto another Queensland team, South Queensland Crushers. Now, I'm going to put them in D tier. They weren't they were an okay club during their existence, but they were not the best, which, actually, I might move them into F tier. They didn't really win anything. Another team from the early stages of the New South Wales Rugby League being Cumberland. I'm going to put them below Annandale. I haven't seen many games. I haven't seen too much history on Cumberland, but I do know that they have not been in the competition long when they during the New South Wales Rugby League, and that extensive competition that went from the early 1900s until the to the late to the early 1990s, but not too much success there. I think they did win a couple City Cups when that was around, but from there, they were an okay side. And now onto a team that's onto our first merger being St George. I'm going to put them at C tier. They have won, I think, either one or two premierships, being a merger, coming off of two very good clubs, but they haven't really proved themselves to be as good as teams like the Cowboys or even Balmain. So they'll be stuck in C tier, maybe the top of C tier. Maybe I might move them to the bottom of B tier, depending on the other teams. Sydney will be our first team moving to S tier, winning many premierships throughout their extensive time for being a foundation club. Unlike South, they stayed in there the entire time. I think the only team to do so, and have gone under a few different names. The first being Sydney, Eastern Suburbs when they first came in, and then they went to Sydney, then Sydney City, then they reverted back to Sydney. Next team this team has not had much success in the past 20, 30 years, that being Parramatta. I'm going to put them in the top of B tier. After that treble, those three back-to-back premierships that they won, they haven't been able to win any more. The last premiership they realistically won was, the next time that they win a premiership is the next time that Peter Sterling has hair, which most people know is fucking impossible. This next club has gone by a few different names, but it is the first Gold Coast team. I'm going to put it in between Annandale and Cumberland. This team not seen much success until their later stages as the Chargers, but I'm going to put them in D tier because they were able to put up a fight and were part of the first quad Brisbane Queensland side when them, South Queensland, Brisbane and Cowboys were all in it together. This next club, another foundation club coming in, is Glebe. I might put him at the top of D tier if it will allow me, because Glebe has done alright during their entirety in the New South Wales Rugby League, but in the New South Wales Cup recently they haven't seen the same success. Now on to our next team, Hunter, the Super League version of the Newcastle Knights. I'm going to put them in F tier. They were one of the worst incarnations of Newcastle. May as well at this point put the Newcastle Rebels in there as well, because Newcastle in their early existence were never that good of a team, and I can say that now. Now on to our next team, the first team I think outside of Sydney in New South, the first team for a while outside of Sydney, Illawarra. I'm going to put them on the same place as St George, Illawarra. Both teams seeing a little bit of success, but haven't been around long enough to see major success. Like this next team, Newtown. I'm going to put them below Bears on A tier. Newtown, very successful when they were in existence. I think, to my memory, they went extinct in 1989, being forced out of the New South Wales Rugby League, not being able to play in the ARL or Super League, which was very sad. Now, our final team from Newcastle, the Knights, having greats like Joey Johns and Danny Vidiris, I'm going to put them in B tier. They only won, I think, 1 or 2 premierships. Not one of the best teams that I've come across. But this next team, I'm gonna put this team into S tier. Manly Warringah. They've had amazing players like Cliffy Lyons. Very good team, won many premierships, and still hold up as a good team to this day. Now on to their merger, the Northern Eagles. That's going straight into F tier. It will go above the Newcastle teams, but yeah, straight F. The merger was a complete failure, in my opinion. They did not reach the success that they should have. The next team, the team that's actually reached recent major success, being Penrith, and I'm going to slot Penrith into the bottom of A tier. Slot them into the bottom of A tier because they've only been able to reach success very recently. During the majority of their time in the NRL and the former states of it, they weren't able to reach very good success. Their only premierships in their early days coming in 91 and 2003. But they were still going to A tier with their very good success recently. Another team that has only realistically won they've only won in the 90s is Canberra. I'm going to put them at the bottom of B tier. Canberra have made a recent grand final appearance in the past decade, but they haven't really done much more than that. They haven't been able to get back to the grandest stage again since losing to the Roosters, but still a very quality side. Unlike this next one being Adelaide. Adelaide, I'll put them below Northern because Adelaide, when they were in the comp, they were an alright team, but they weren't good enough, and that's the same as I'll put the Reds in there as well. They were both brought in for the ARL and didn't make it into the NRL, to my understanding, or they didn't make it past the 1999 season before the cutoff. This next team only got to reach one premiership in 2016, and that is my beloved club, the Cronulla Sharks. Now, they have had great players like Andrew Eddinghausen and Paul Gallen, but I think only winning one premiership, I might move Balmain up a bit, and I'll put Sharks above Knights, but not above Cowboys, because Cowboys and Sharks have realistically had the same amount of success throughout their entire careers, but Sharks, being in there a bit longer, should have gained a bit more. Now on to another foundation club, the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're going straight into the middle of S tier, being ejected from the comp in 2002, if I remember correctly, but still gaining the most amount of premierships, and I think minor premierships, since their inception in 1908. Now onto a team that has also won many NRL premierships, that being the St George Dragons, the original St George Dragons. I'm going to put them above Newtown because they won 11 consecutive premierships. Now that is nearly impossible to do in the newer game because of how hard they want to contest to get to that grand stage. And back when they won their 11th straight, there were unlimited tackles. They had some of the biggest players just running over them and scoring and scoring and scoring. That was the way that it was done by St George. Now onto a team that has had major controversy over their premierships, that being the Melbourne Storm. They're still a pretty quality side. I'm going to put them above North Queensland. they most people would rank them higher. I'm just ranking them low because of their scandals, but that does weigh out with the amount of good players that they have had, like Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, and Billy Slater. Now onto the Gold Coast again, the Titans. They're going to go below Illawarra. Since their inception in 2007, they haven't really reached too much success. I think they've only made the finals 1 or 2 times, but they have gotten wooden spoons plenty of times since then. We've only got 4 teams remaining. The first being Sydney Uni. They're going straight into the bottom. I think they won. I think they got given 4 straight wooden spoons when they were in the comp. Yeah, they were one of the worst teams to ever come around. This team has had a couple names. This next one, New Zealand or Auckland. They only made the grand final, I think, once, and that was against Sydney. I might put them above Illawarra, mainly because New Zealand, no premierships, but they are still a pretty good side. They've still been able to contest. Now onto our final foundation club, the Western Suburbs Magpies. I'll put the Magpies at the top of B tier, because the Magpies, during their entire time in the NRL, New South Wales Rugby League and stuff like that, did very well. The black and whites did alright, but now it is on to our final club, the merger between Western Suburbs and Balmain, the West Tigers. I'm going to put them at the top of C tier, as they have, I'll put them there, because, as the West Tigers, since their inception in 2000, if I remember correctly, they have only been able to win 1 premiership, and have failed to make the top 8, I think, for the past 6-7 years. It could be up to a decade that they haven't been able to reach the finals. And well, that is now my final ranking of this video. If you disagree with me, tell me in the comments. I can always give more of an explanation on why I chose to do it this way. But with that, I'll see you guys later.